we'd have to say goodbye and face that final day.
My name is Mordechai Goldin. Mordechai's brother, and I know him all my life. He was really a social type, and I was anti-social type. And he had a lot of friends, a lot of people who actually liked him, and he was like a popular guy. My brother was not only was a popular guy, but he was also like, he was alive, very much like he was active. He was constantly like action, you know, he was just like full of action. Like high school, you know, he was actually very popular among non-Jewish kids also. They liked him also a lot. He was like a lot of Jewish kids in high schools, they were like scapegoats or something, you know. They were getting beaten up and whatever. They were like, got in a lot of fights. My brother was very popular among non-Jewish kids also, though. That thugs were usually controlling bathrooms, and anybody would walk in would have to pay, how do you say, either give away $1 or sandwich or something. Your father had no problems with those people. Even the principals were scared to go to those bathrooms at times. And your father was very comfortable with those kind of individuals. He wasn't afraid. He was popular with teachers too, by the way. He was very popular with teachers. Teachers were very nice to him. Nicer than to other people. He would get away with things that others couldn't. He was a popular kid, what can I tell you? Yeah, we had all kinds of animals in the house when we were growing up. We had, I don't know how my mother put up with that, but we had hamsters, we had snakes, we had birds flying freely, not in a cage, just flying all over the rooms, I guess. And so we had a lot of that stuff. He brought them home, yeah. He used to bring a lot of animals home, homeless and what have you. And my father was good at getting rid of that, but Mordechai would just pick up just any, especially wounded animals. Oh gosh, he would bring home every wounded dog, cat, what have you. And my mother was terrified of animals that Mordechai would bring home. Some of them were wounded that he would just pick them up somewhere and carry home and try to look after them and heal them and what have you. So a lot of them, they would actually torture animals, cats, dogs, but you know, they would catch. And he would get involved. He couldn't stand it. He couldn't stand it. He would always get involved. And if somebody was out there torture animals, he had no patience for that. But he was also a contrarian. You know, one time I remember I was in 770, I come see him arguing, really like seriously arguing with Mashiachists, you know, in 770, and I thought he was going to get him into a physical fight. He was so passionate fight. Then I was walking out of 770 with him, and he stopped at the entrance there. There was some Shem Tovs wherever, and he started saying Yihi to them.
Hello, my name is Mordechai Siv. I came to the Maristan Yeshiva, Mordechai Goldin. I met him, I believe he came in 1980. I'm not 100% sure, but it seems to me that we were there quite a number of years together, so I'm assuming he came around 1980. I remember when he came into the yeshiva, he had long hair and he had tight jeans on, and he didn't speak too much English, and he was a very, very warm guy, and he would sit down and, we would talk, and he would like listen, and he would, but I don't think he came to become a Baal Tshuva. He came, I figured his brother must have bribed him or something. I don't know how he got into the, I don't know how he got into the yeshiva. One thing that really sticks out in my mind is when he had his bris milah. I mean, that to me was, as somebody who grew up in America, everybody had their bris milah when they were 8 days old, so we didn't really think about it, bris milah, yes, bris milah, not bris milah. But I remember when he told me that he was having his bris milah, I was looking at him and I said, Mordechai, I said, today you're having it? I said, you're going to get some painkillers, right? He said, no. And I said, what? I said, take some painkillers because it's going to be painful, He said, no. He was like, really, he's Russian. And that was like a very big thing because I saw that the pride he had and also the Mesiras Nefesh that he had. And he said after he came back from having it, so he said, Morty, let's go to the mikveh. And I said, don't you want to rest a little bit? He says, no, I want to go into the mikveh.
My name is Michal Albuquerque. I met Mordechai when I first came to Morristown back in the early 80s. He came to the airport to pick me up together with Big Mo and a van full of guys. And with a raucous upbringing, drove me back to the yeshiva where I wasn't sure I was going to last more than a couple of days. But Mordechai did everything he could to make sure that I'd feel comfortable like he did with everyone else. Like everybody else, I thought Mordechai was my best friend because Mordechai was everybody's best friend. The last few years, he went through such difficulties, such pain, such agony, not knowing if he was going to survive or not survive. He went through most of his life like this, not knowing what's going to be tomorrow. And nonetheless, he was able to be generous. Whenever we came to visit him, he'd always start asking, how are you? How's your sister? How's this one? How's that one? It's almost as if he didn't have any problems in life. Whenever you'd run into him in the worst of times, how's life, Mordechai? Life is beautiful. Everybody heard that to Mordechai. And so that was something that we saw from Mordechai. Another thing that I think I didn't become aware of until the end of our year in camp, or years in camp, is that Mordechai never took a salary. When obviously he got paid more than the counselors did, but he never felt that the counselors got paid enough. And the counselors, they would ball, how much am I getting paid? Guys always ask. And Mordechai would offer him, and he would raise the ante and give him a tip at the end. And you always thought it came from the Chabad house, from free, whatever it is. It wasn't. Mordechai would take his own salary and he would spread it out amongst the pay that he would give to all the counselors. And that way it was. And most people didn't even know it. I only found out about it from, I think, either Rabbi Shimon or Rabbi Naftali. One of the two sort of found out and let me know about it by accident. When I got married, when I got engaged, first of all, he helped me with a van to get furniture and everything else to set up the apartment. I got married before him. And so came the chuppah, so I was wearing the Rebbe's kapota, which was huge, and the Rebbe's shirt, and my own kapota. So Mordechai says, you need to put a coat over all this. It was a sort of a rainy day in Adar. So he had a coat that he and I went shopping one time to a place in New Jersey, and he went to the entire department store to find just that coat that he liked, that just fit him just right and so on. And he took that coat off. He says, "Here, wear this for the chuppah. You can't be standing out here like this." So I put on the coat, and it was kind of tight fitting with all these things I was wearing. And right after the chuppah, I took it off, and somebody took it off my hands and left it on the fence right there in front of Psalm 70. After the chuppah, after this and that and the other, Mordechai asked me, by the way, do you know what happened to my coat by any chance? I said, yeah, it was left, someone, don't worry, I'll get it, no problem. I found out Mordechai never saw it again. I never heard a word from him. It was a coat that he spent, I think, in those days, $180 for a coat. It was a lot of money. I don't know where he got it from. We worked together delivering sukkahs. That's probably where he got it from. We worked together one Erev Sukkahs, delivering sukkahs all over New Jersey and New York. We worked our heads off. Got the van stuck, the truck stuck, and don't ask. who were working very hard. So he worked very hard for that little bit of money that he got, that he put into that coat, and I lost it. And he never thought twice about it and never mentioned anything.
My name is Mordechai Ben Chiyun. I'm a shliach of the Rebbe in downtown Chicago. You know, this world has two kinds of characters. There's the people that they are the theoreticians and very self-protective. And then there's the doers and those that stick their neck out for others. Mordechai was definitely one of those people. And Rabbi Lipsker surrounded himself with a group of guys. I had the merit to be one of them, together with Mordechai alav shalom. And he entrusted us with all sorts of tasks that had to be carried out, including we were the welcoming committee for the newcomers in the yeshiva, and helped them get integrated in the yeshiva and otherwise. But even in that group, you have those that are doers and stick their neck out. Mordechai took it a step further. He involved others. He made others become involved. Teifeach al manas lehatpiach. He encouraged others also to be involved. And one more thing, people that are that type A, involving others, sticking their neck out, sometimes can be rough. And what made Mordechai so special, he never made anyone feel guilty. On the contrary, he made the person believe that he can do it, and always with a smile, and encouraging and positive reinforcement. Personally, I have a very special connection with Mordechai because he's the one that invited me to come to be in a group that went to be camp counselors and organize a summer camp in Chicago. And I was not too much into camps, so he needed to convince me, which he did. And I'm very happy I followed his advice. A doer that sticks his neck out, he lives in the now, was always aware of his surroundings, not like people that escape situations, escape need. He was present, and if there was a need, that's what he addressed. I have no explanation of why such people are taken away from us young.
My name is Gabriel Feil, Gabby, as friends, family call me. What can I say about my friend Mordechai? I was honored to be the head counselor of a day camp in Skokie, Chicago. But it was very, very weird for me. My English was very poor, and I got the best suggestion of my friend Mordechai. Actually, he gave me the encouragement to cope with this new scenario in my life. Then he goes, when I firstly became a director of an overnight camp, kids were lining up, and I told them the whole schedule for the day. Firstly, I was clear to tell them that everything should be neat as soon as they wake up. Folding sheets, blankets, pillows, sheets should be folded. And all of a sudden, kids and staff started to laugh without stopping. And I didn't understand why. And then I repeated again. And I said, yes, sheets should be in its proper place. And they even laughed strongly. Amazing. Then, anyways, I was told that my pronunciation was terrible, and by saying sheets, it sounded something different that I don't want to tell you, Gabriel, about that. Something which wasn't so good for Gan Israel camp. And later on, I worked for so many years organizing summer and winter camps as a Shaliach of Chabad in South America.
My name is Boaz Levy, and I had the privilege of learning with Mordechai in the original Yeshiva Tiferes Bachur in Morristown. Mordechai enlisted me to go with him in one of the greatest camp staffs ever put together, done by Mordechai, of course, to day camp in Chicago. As head counselor, Mordechai complained that he somehow didn't feel like he was fulfilling his purpose in camp, since he didn't have a bunk and wasn't working as directly with the kids as he had done in previous years. But actually he did have a bunk, us counselors. He worked with us to build up our strengths and overcome our weaknesses, so that each of us could be all he could be and do all he could do. Thanks to Mordechai's training and encouragement, I went back to Chicago camp 4 summers in a row. The 4th summer I ran my own youth group / camp for Mordechai's campers who were now too old for the regular camp and needed a little more high adventures. Throughout the summer I would call Mordechai and ask his advice how to deal with the various Russian Jewish boys and their families, since he knew them all and was an expert on dealing with people. One boy, actually there were many, but one wanted very much to leave public school and attend a Jewish school due to the inspiration of his several summers in our camp. His parents were the ultimate example of 70 years of successful communist brainwashing, as Mordechai referred to them, and would not hear of their son going to Jewish school. Mordechai, who knew them, reassured me to just keep working with the boy and not to let the parents scare me. The boy's mother one day called me up and threatened me, "If you don't stop convincing my son to go to a Jewish school, I'm going to come over and shoot you. So now are you going to leave my son alone about it?" I said emphatically, "No." I called Mordechai, who encouraged me by saying, "Don't worry, Boaz, we're all behind you." I told him it's good you're behind me and not in front of me, since she's threatening to shoot me. Baruch Hashem, the boy began attending Jewish school after the summer. I guess you could say that Mordechai also trained us to give everybody sheet.
Hi, my name is Rachamim Raymond, and I met Mordechai in Morristown. With Mordechai, I think one of the reasons why he connected with so many people in a phenomenal way. A lot of people will tell you, "Oh, he's my best friend," or the kids from the Shabbos Club. They had a very heart-to-heart connection. You could look inside and look into a person, as well as projecting warmth and affection and love. He had this tremendous Avos Yisrael for a year, and you could feel it, and he projected it. But I think he also had insight into people. You could see within, where a person's coming from, and talk to them at their particular level. He used to tell me, "My pleasure in life is this Shabbos. I like a very big cup of tea and to read Lekutei Diburim." For many years, year after year, I said, "Mordie, He said, "No, because that's really those are the real Hasidim." And he had this ideal of what a real Chassid is. He had a very clear conception of what it is, and it wasn't how much you learned, or how much, how much, to what degree you kept to halacha. It was more of a feeling that you have about things and how you relate to people, and simplicity. And he had a real, I think he had a very clear picture, because we used to argue about things. What is what's really a chassid? I mean, I'm comparing he was, if anybody, he's a real chassid, and I would like to be a real. But even though I don't know how many Masechta Gemara he had learned, or so on and so on, but still it was a very important thing and he admired some of the Hasidim. He told me some of the Russian guys, that the old timers, he used to speak to them and listen to their stories, and that's who he related to. So he was, he had a very strong feeling for what a chassid is and should be. And I think he really tried to live to it too. Because he didn't judge people as to where they were at in terms of their Yiddishkeit so much. He wanted to see what kind of a person, how good that person is, how good a heart the person had. That was important for him.
My name is Eli Block. I am a shliach in Riga Park, Queens. I've known Mordechai Goldin since the summer of '88 or '89. I was offered a job that canceled on me in the summer, and I found myself in Camp Gan Yisrael, New York. Mordechai did not take no for an answer. As far as if he wanted you to do something, you went up and you did it. And he told you how to do it. He told you what you expected. He was not necessarily very diplomatic about it, and this for me was something very new. But with that said, it gave me a lot of confidence I didn't have before then, and that's where our relationship began, both as an employer-employee and really a good friend and a mentor. And a lot of what I learned in life, in shluchus, is lessons that he taught. Some of them he spoke, some of them he showed. It made a really profound influence in my life growing up then and now. The one thing that really, I think, to me stands out that made a very strong impression was that he took complete responsibility for the people under his charge. The kids that he picked up off the street in Brighton Beach, the kids that were in camp, the Bachram that went to his house, he had all the time in the world for them, but furthermore, once he took somebody under his wing and took responsibility for them, he was there for them throughout the time. It was not where, he took them and then they spent some time and then they moved on. He was there for them through thick and thin. He was there as a parent, sometimes even more than the biological parents. Whether it meant taking kids to yeshiva, whether it meant taking them on trips, whatever it was, he was in it above and beyond, and he told them, it was tough love. He told them things that maybe they didn't want to hear, but as a result, they reciprocated, and you have, I think, a lot of the young men now, various levels, various degrees of observance, the warmth they have for Yiddishkeit, the dedication they feel to supporting causes is largely because of the connection that they had with him. And I think this is something that I've tried to incorporate in my own shlichus, which is that once you have somebody that you're in contact with, somebody that you are taking care of, the responsibility is there and never goes away. It never stops being your responsibility to take care of these people. There's no walking away.
My name is Kitzur Zalzman. I'm a shlichus in Toronto, in the Russian community, since December 1980. I knew Mordechai from being a Bachar in 17 when he was free as a student, later at camp, and in 17 was Bachar in Karaites. So in 1981, when the Rebbe started the mitzvah of leather in the Torah, at that time, that summer, I contacted Mordechai and he found a friend, Mordechai Becker of his, and they came together to Toronto. That summer, they registered about 25,000 names in the Sefer Torah. They were going, I gave them addresses, they were going from apartment to apartment buildings, some streets, apartment by apartment, house by house. And they registered at that time the family, and then the family's brothers, siblings, grandparents, grandchildren, and so on. 25,000 names, I remember by then in the summer. It so happened that they stayed with us also, that was October, Tishrei, Tavshin, Mem Beis. So Sukkot, they were in our house. I remember that's the first year we moved into our place where we live till now. on 87th Dana Crescent, and it was Rosh Hashanah and then Yom Kippur. I was extremely busy, and it came like a day or two before Sukkot, and I didn't get there yet to build the Sukkah. And they said, well, what are we going to do? I said, well, the neighbors have Sukkahs, so we'll go to them. Because the year before I was in Crown Heights and on Crown Street. The Sukkah was built, one Sukkah in the building, and we were all participating. Somehow in my mind, I didn't realize that I have to build my own Sukkah. I now have my own place. So he and his friend, they together decided we're building a Sukkah. So one evening after they were visiting people signing up for letters of the Torah, they found somewhere pieces of wood and some stuff that they said it's going to be a schach. In any case, they set up a Sukkah in 2 evenings, and we had the Sukkah on our porch.
People really remember. No, they really visited people, all people.
Years after, I used to meet families, whatever, they said they remember the boys who came to them. They found 2 addresses, people gave them some donations, we got receipts. It was a part in starting the whole work with the Rosh community.
My name is Mendel Okanov. I had the privilege to know Mordechai from the beginning when I just arrived in Crown Heights, and for many years we were very, very close friends. I would like to recall here the last dialogue I had, the last conversation we had with Mordechai. It was actually not a dialogue, it was a monologue, because I just listened and he was talking. It was a few weeks before Shavuos. He was already in the bed, he couldn't walk around, but he was fully alert and he was in the mood of talking. He said that he strongly believe in the miracle, but from the other side, if the Hashem wants differently, he's prepared to go. He said for him it's like a second immigration. Just the difference is that the first immigration he didn't know anybody here, but now he has a lot, many friends that he's going to meet them, and he's happy to go if that is his view. We were standing in steps of three, but the 2 lines in front of 3. Put my head over his shoulders and offered him, Mordechai, how about going to upstate for the summer? He said, he's asking what's there. I said, there's mountains, there's lakes, there's forest. He said, I don't mind to go, but what are we going to do there? I said, you're going to be a counselor. He said, counselor, I just started yeshiva 2 months ago. How can I be a counselor? So Hashem helped me. He put me the right words in my mind. I encouraged him, and he went to camp. Since then, he became a leader. He was always a leader, and he had a unique talent to make the right atmosphere, and people followed him. I think that if to describe Mordechai in one word, that he was always a leader, and he admitted to me that the 2 months in camp was more meaningful to him than 3 years in Shiva, and he encouraged me I should continue to make camps.
We shared with Mordechai a very special time, the time of the Shabbos Club. Our home was open for them any time without reservation. It was a very special time. Those precious kids would bring their beautiful environment to the house, happiness, very good energy. It was a time that will never be forgotten. Mordechai was living it. He never got tired to do anything good. He never knew the word lazy, what does it mean? And he had the time, endless time for each and every one, no matter how old, from little child till an old person. I love to see how he could relate to any Jew. He could be a little boy on the street, he could have a whole conversation with him. And I understood him, he understood what he needs, and he would share with us, and he would explain what this problem or that. He understood everyone. He could enjoy conversation with any age, older one, anybody. And he was just wonderful. His love to every Jew was unbelievable. It was another time I guess they came very late to eat. And Mordechai was very upset. He was telling us about the counselor that came. He was very hungry, and you can't blame him. So he took the food for himself first. It bothered Mordechai very much. How could it be a counselor should take for himself first? Mordechai would always took the last one. He never knew what it meant to be the first. Everybody was before him. It bothers him so much, you know. Anything good, everyone else was before him. He was only the first to give.
Hi, my name is Reuven Komarovsky, also known as Rabbi K. I know Mordechai since I was a teenager, working in Gan Yisrael, New York, Parksville camp, with Russian boys. He came there as a counselor, and I was there myself as a counselor. And since then, I was involved with many camps, Shabbatons. I spent my good years in Morristown, New Jersey, yeshiva with him. He obviously was a very kind-hearted person. He always loved to have guests in his house. Him and his wife, Nina, they always took care of guests. They always made sure they have guests, always entertained their guests. The house was full of guests, open house throughout, and Shabbos, Yom Tov. I ate very often there when I was a bocher. He was a people's person. He could relate to everyone. He evaluated people. He knew he could appreciate every person. He would talk to each person on their level, encouraging them, becoming very friendly with them. He spent a long time with me in Morristown, schmoozing many nights. One night I remember he was trying to encourage me to go to mikveh. I kind of didn't know what mikveh was, and I was kind of embarrassed. It was an icebreaker, and he spoke a lot to me and told me, listen, why don't you try? Go once at least when people are not there. Go in the evening, you know, in Morristown Yeshiva. And I went. It was a very beautiful experience. Since then, I went to mikveh. And I still go to mikveh every day. He also found ways to connect to people, to hard people, to kids that had difficulty, behavioral problems. In camps, he would pull out these kids, speak to them, get connected to them, encourage them to become better, to do things, to be involved with other kids, and he would make a difference. Many counselors that would give up on certain kids that could not handle kids, he would be the one to pull them out, talk to them. He would deal with their parents. He wasn't a quiet guy. Always entertaining kids on the bus. He was a bus driver for camps, the Shabbatons, school. He always spoke with kids, always told stories on the way, and always instilled Yiras Shamayim, you know, talking about stories they could learn lessons from. And very often when the bus got stuck in traffic, he would say, okay guys, we need Hashem's help. Everybody, let's say Psukim, Taira, Tziva, Lonu, Moshe. So kids knew, you know, Hashem is the one to rely on for help. One example comes to mind, although this goes back a long time ago. I don't remember details, but we went on a trip, bus full of kids, arriving early to a place that was like a park, go-karts, and things like that, entertaining. And the weather was bad, rainy. The staff said they're closed for the day. What a bummer. The kids and Mordechai, so upset. Mordechai came over to the manager and said, listen, we came all the way here to give the kids some good time. Can we just go out for 1 hour, you know, and just give them a good time? And he said, no, I'm sorry. Such a weather, we can't operate in such a weather. And Mordechai didn't give up. He said, what if it stops raining? Can you just give us like 20 minutes at least in the park? He said, the weather calls for a whole day rain. But, you know, if the rain stops, I'll give you some time. Mordechai runs back to the kids, said, guys, if you want to have a good time, we got to daven to Hashem. Everybody say after me, we're going to say Psukim. If the weather gets better, they will open the park for us. And there we went with Psukim, Tehillim, and on and on. And sure enough, the clouds spread, sky opened, it was a beautiful weather, sunny. The staff couldn't believe their eyes. They had to keep their word. They opened the park for us. We spent there such a long time. The kids had an amazing time. And every year since then, when Mordechai would come over, they say, oh, we remember your group. Let's go. And they would give discounts and be so nice to us. And the kids remember that too. So I think it's important for us to take a lesson from Mordechai, to reach out to people as he did, to relate to people, to encourage people to do more, to make this world a better place.
Hi, my name is Ross Furman. Some of you may know me as Rostik or Baruch. Wanted to say a few words about Mordechai. Originally I met him when he came to pitch my parents to join Shabbos Club. You know, I got really excited about the ski trips and all the other fantastic promises. The next thing I knew, I was scammed into a bris, which was a pretty scary thing for a 12-year-old coming out of Soviet Union. That being said, thanks to Mordechai, Chaim, Jan Borodkin, or as I used to know them, the Three Musketeers of Free, and many others, I was part of a community that became an integral part of my teenage years. Immigrating to the United States in the late 80s with no English, going to a really rough school, was a really tough experience. Mordechai's bringing me into Free forever changed my life. The group of teenage hoodlums, half-wits, and Jewish troublemakers were my first friends in the United States with Mordechai as our leader. Mordechai helped me discover my Jewish identity, and the Shabbos Club gave me a sense of belonging, which I needed desperately at that particular time. The experiences provided lifelong friendships and developed in me a strong philanthropic side that I otherwise would not have. Mordechai and Free instilled a strong Jewish identity that I can only hope I can pass on to my kids with such magnitude. To me, Mordechai was a dear friend, a leader, a teacher, a tzaddik, and I am forever grateful for having him in my life.
Hello, my name is Yechiel Shabbat. I was a student in the United Laboratory Yeshiva Russian Division, Yeshiva Free, from 1991 until 2003, where I was introduced to Mordechai Goldin from a very young age. Mordechai did a great deal of many things for us kids. He was a bus driver, camp director in the summertime, but where I knew him best from were the Shabbatons that he would organize. My classmates and I were taken to Crown Heights, and we would stay in Free for Shabbos and go on a trip on Sunday. The majority of us kids came from non-observant families, and this was a great way to show us what life as an observant Jew was. Our teachers, and of course Mordechai, would open up their homes to us and invite us to have a Shabbos meal with their families. I can clearly remember how us kids would argue of who's going to Mordechai's home, not only because his wife was a great cook, and she really was, but because of how much we all loved being around Mordechai. He knew how to make us laugh and keep us interested by making up different games, and all in the Jewish spirit. He by far was not the kind of man that would let you do anything you wanted to. He was strict and demanded discipline on his bus and in shul on Shabbos. But we all loved him because he was fair and didn't ask us to do anything he wasn't doing himself. The trip on Sunday was usually skiing, where he taught us how to ski and showed us that you can be a Jew and still have fun. I can't even imagine how much of his personal life and free time he had to sacrifice for us kids. He truly was a chassid that embodied the Rebbe's message of spreading Judaism and personally touched many of our lives. He was a man that went far beyond what was necessary of any of his job titles and would be personally involved in many aspects of people's lives, always trying to help, whether it would be gathering money for someone whom has fallen on hard times or lending a listening ear and giving them advice on how to make things better. Of course, always having Judaism in the forefront. He will remain in the hearts of many and will be forever missed.
Hello, hi, my name is Shai Krumerman. I met Mordechai 1985 in a camp which was not Camp Gan Yisrael. It was some other camp that my grandfather found through a newspaper, and finally I was there maybe 6 months, and then one day comes around in the summertime, Mordechai and two of his friends came by looking for Jewish kids in this Russian camp. I was much happier in Camp Gan Yisrael when he said, I want to talk to your parents, I want to talk to whoever's your grandfather. So he did. He made a phone call the following week, and I was recruited to Camp Gan Yisrael. One of these stories is that we were in Camp Gan Yisrael, and for some reason that day I couldn't behave. I couldn't do the right thing. So Mordechai told me, please, these lights you can't touch. You can't touch. You can't turn them on and off. Once they shut off, they shut off. Once they're on, they're on. You gotta wait after Shabbos. But I was the type of kid, I had to annoy him. I had to get him to a point where he just couldn't take it, and he had to give me a good one. He kicked me so hard I felt it in my heart. That's how bad it was. He was an incredible man. He was always there for me. He was always there to protect me. No matter what I did, no matter who said what. Mordechai was more than a friend to me. He was my uncle, he was my brother, he was my best friend, he was my father, he was everything to me, everything to me. You know, speaking, after many years of being friends with him, knowing him, I realized one thing, that all he wanted was basically for Jewish kids to become men, and for all of us to become brothers, and for all of us to have a Jewish, I would say, surrounding, and for us to know what is a true Jew to be.
So my name is Nachshon Rabayev. I was a student at the Lubavitch Yeshiva from probably around 1992, 91, all the way up to about 98. And Mordechai Goldin was my bus driver throughout all of elementary. And one of the things I'd like to say first is I was probably one of the toughest kids to deal with. Anybody that knows me knows that. And I grew up without a father and no brothers or sisters, so it was always it was kind of tough, But Mordechai and my best remembrance of him was always like a father figure to me. I would always get in a fight in the back of his bus, probably every single day. Had to beat somebody up or do something bad, but in a good way. We were kids. Mordechai would always stop the bus, take the time to talk to me, and was a really good disciplinary. And the main thing about Mordechai was the fact that he strived so much into seeing a lot of the kids have success. Some of these kids that people would maybe look down on, or kids that came out of unorthodox families, who didn't know much about religion. That was the whole thing about Chabad, about the Lubavitch Yeshiva, was to push people to tshuva. And Mordechai was one of the biggest people to do that. That's one thing I can say, is he had so much heart to the kids that he focused on people understanding religion and talked to them, from a mentality of like an uncle, instead of just a counselor or a bus driver or a teacher. He was very close with everybody, and very, very rare individual. All my memories of him are fond. I don't remember one bad or negative energy a memory about Mordechai, because that's how great of a person he was. Another example I want to bring up about how much fun it was to be around Mordechai. He was a very exciting person. See, he was one of the people that you can get disciplined by, but at the same time, you'll still love him. You're not going to hold any grudges. Every time we would have Shabbatons on Fridays, we would have kind of like this thing the counselors would do, where we would memorize a certain amount of words, and whoever gets the most words that were read in that parsha, would get to go to their favorite rabbi's, or favorite teacher's house. And there was always a fight to come over to Mordechai's house, and it was that's how much the kids pretty much loved him. It's a person that I love greatly and deeply, and I'm gonna miss a lot.
My name is Alexander Landsman, and I've known Mordechai for almost 30 years. He grew in a big city in Russia, and I did too. He himself didn't have the attitude of expecting bad things from people. He knew human nature, and he allowed it to just to be. He allowed it to not have any impact on him. He was not judgmental. The Baal Tshuva experience was not easy. You think that anything that you allow yourself, you start feeling guilty about it. Mordechai taught me that it's okay. You can enjoy life while being a religious person. And for him, that didn't seem to be a problem. He would enjoy skiing, or he would enjoy swimming, or going on a trip. And at the same time, being with him and communicating with him, you saw that it didn't change who he was, because he was a real Jewish guy.
My name is Levi Akinov. I know Mordechai from childhood. He was at my bris Shalom Zachar, and he's told me lots of stories of myself before I knew myself, and really showed me and all of us that you can be really cool and really hip and have the most amazing times, most luxurious forms of vacation and getaways, yet still have an unbelievable sense of godliness and spirituality. And his walk was a prayer, his life was a song and a dance.
My name is Chaya Zayt. He was the friendliest, the most generous person, the nicest person. One thing he liked to do is take the steps up and down. He didn't use the elevator. That's one other thing that I also like to do. We always met on the steps, and just saying hello and going by wasn't enough for him. He always needed to make a conversation, and was not a regular conversation. He needed to connect, and if there is anything that you could say about him, that he was a very good connector. He himself was very open. He didn't have a problem being vulnerable, and in such a position, everybody opened up and responded in the same way.
My name is Eli Rogatsky. I remember this particular story that, like in the late 80s, it's probably like 9-10 years old, and we went on Ta'alucha. Somehow they managed to schlep us. They came to our house. I remember it was, before Simchas Torah. They ate by us, and we decided we're going on Ta'alucha. A whole bunch of Russian boys. Mordechai was one of them. So we made it to Brighton. On the way back, I had a very hard time making it back. It was just difficult. So Mordechai, as we all know him, he put his arm around me, and he starts telling me stories, giving me a lot of comfort. And before you know it, we're like halfway through. I remember this particular part in Ocean Park, like before the bridge. I'm like, oh, the bridge again, the highway, and we have such a long way to go. And he's like, no, the police telling me about Prospect Park and how close we're getting. And basically, while he was, walking, saying stories, next thing you know, I was ready in Crown Heights. I felt like the other guys, without mentioning any names, they're all like, okay, just let's go back. They just wanted to focus on getting back. but he particularly, took me and we made it back.
Hi, my name is Mordechai Yartzeit. Mordechai knew each other from being neighbors for most of my life, if not all my life. Mordechai is somebody that I looked up to as a person for being very earnest and happy. Someone that was very outgoing and very approachable. He's someone that I like to talk to, someone that always had an open home, was very welcoming, and someone that could always kick back and relax and have a couple of jokes, a couple of drinks. I used to meet Mordechai in the hallway from time to time. We used to have conversations talking about life, my family, just where I planned to be, what my goals were. He's someone that helped me see my own future, and it's something that was very special.
Now I was left with memories, sweet, sweet memories. Yes, I was left with memories. The happy days, the tears, the love you gave us all these years. Now the memories. Your energy was endless, 'cause you cared so much. Love and kindness, so unique in style. A lending hand for everyone, your special touch, so comforting, your smile.